the one thing that will bring you certainty every time in your business. The one thing that will bring you certainty every time in your business, because we all know that this entrepreneurial journey, there's nothing that is guaranteed, right? So we need to have something that creates certainty. Otherwise, it's very difficult to continue on the journey and continue the things that create abundance in your journey. All right. So the one thing that I want you guys to answer in the question is, what is one winning ritual that you have in your business, right? Wait, let me rephrase that. So tell me in the comments, as a spiritual entrepreneur, how do you celebrate wins in your business? So how do you celebrate wins in your business, right? What is your ritual? Because this group is called the discipline of yoga and business, the discipline of business and yoga. And you know that in the yogic practice, there's rituals, right? So that's why I called it what I called it, because both in business and both in yoga, there are rituals, right? And so if you have some sort of spiritual practice, in some ways you have this advantage because all of the rituals can be applied to your business, right? So if you're also here for the replay, please let me know. I love to see who else is coming in. Hey, Jamie. Hello. So today's topic is the one thing that creates certainty in your business. The one thing that creates certainty in your business. So my first question was how, and tell me in the comments, how do you celebrate your wins? Okay? How do you celebrate as a spiritual entrepreneur, as an entrepreneur, however you identify yourself, okay? How do you celebrate your wins? Tell me in the comments, right? So if you have to think about it, then you might want to start to think, what rituals do you have? And then I'm sure you have some. Some people have some. Maybe some people go eat an ice cream. Maybe people dance around. Some people like scream and, so it's super important to start to realize what are the rituals that you have in your business to celebrate your wins. And what I suggest is have a ritual that involves the body. Because why? When you involve the body, what it does is it teaches the body. Every time you continue to win your business, it teaches the body to continue to want on winning. Because, even though we're creating our business from these ideas in our mind, our body is the vessel that kind of allows us to wake up and jump out of bed and do our thing, right? So if we continue to teach the body, teach the nervous system how to, what it feels like to win, we're going to naturally want to continue those those winnings. And I think another thing that's important is, what are wins for you? Like, what you consider as a win, right? So let me know in the comments, what do you consider as a win in your business? And let me know, just recently, like today or this week, what are the wins that you have encountered? And it doesn't matter if they're super small, super big, whatever they are, if you feel like it's a win, then it's a win, okay? So I think it's really important for us to start to identify, what are the wins and how am I winning? And the other thing that's important is, how am I winning now? Right? Because we always have, entrepreneurs have all of these goals and these dreams and all these things. And sometimes we don't actually recognize, okay, wait a minute, it's actually happening now. So let me know in the comments, how is the business, the life of your dreams happening to you now? So I'll give you an example. One of our clients, she's like, Jamie, I want to own a house, right? And her pattern was every time we get on a coaching call, she'd be like, okay, I didn't do my journaling. I fell behind on this. I didn't do that. I didn't have enough time for this. A lot of what was not there. And so we kind of okay, but what is it that you want, right? I think that's really important to start to see in your business. What do you want? Not what you hope for, what do you think, or what do you want? Get clear on that, because that's step number one. If you don't know what you want, you don't like it. It's like going traveling and not really knowing where you're going. And maybe that's the point. Maybe for some people, they're like, okay, I just want to kind of wander and go. And if that's your clear path, then that's your clear path. But if you want to get to, China, you need to have some sort of direction, right? And so for my client, she was like, so I'm like, okay, so what do you want, right? She's like, I want to own a house, right? And I'm like, okay, so how are you owning that now? And, when we're outside of our body, constantly thinking like, oh my God, I want that and I want that, is very hard for us to actually receive how we've already manifested so many things that we wanted in our life. And I have a whole other training, the truth about manifesting your life, so you can scroll down. It's like a whole other hour training. But we want to start to see like, how is that happening now? And get it into the physical 3D reality, right? Because if it's all in the head, it just stays all in the head. So the first thing I did is I'm like, those wooden floors, because if you are in yoga or dance, most of you know, like, wooden floors are like, for me anyway, they're like cars for guys. I'm not saying all guys love cars, but you know what I mean? It's like, ooh, I love wooden floors. I love like seeing vast spaces on the, clean spaces on the floor. So I started to like let her, I started to ask her to, feel the floor, right? Feel the floor, and it's like, oh, start to look around and like, look at your couch, start to like look at the clothes you're wearing, because she's a yoga teacher like me. And it's like, oh, how was this a dream for you 20 years ago, right? How is like the life that you're living now? Like, oh my God, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to wear yoga clothes every day. I've always wanted to teach dance. I've always wanted to work with these type of people. I've always wanted to have a house, or I wanted a closet full of colorful clothes. Like, how is it happening now? Because then again, you're starting to teach the body. It's like, oh, you're starting to allow yourself to experience the literal reality of now, right? Because isn't that what this practice is about? Is like experiencing what's happening now. Right? So why we practice these winning rituals is because it will fundamentally give you that longevity. Because as an entrepreneur, what we see a lot is like, okay, we're doing the thing, we're hustling, we have this one goal, and then after we're going to go to the next goal, and then the next goal. And then what happens is, if we don't sort of stop to say, ooh, look at these yoga mats. Like, I get to sit here and talk, and sit on my yoga mats, because I dreamed one day to be a yoga teacher, and I love the fact that I only needed myself and maybe a mat, right? So it's like, ooh, start to see how this is actually the reality now, because, right, this is what's going to create longevity. This is what's going to create sustainability. Because otherwise, if I'm just like, okay, whatever, okay, next thing, oh my God, the next thing, now I have to do the next social media thing, now I have to do that, now I have to do my clients. It is not a sustainable energy, right? So as spiritual entrepreneurs, we want to learn, how can we really truly experience what is happening right now and really physically feel it happening, because then it literally makes it for reals, It's like, oh my God, this is happening. Oh my God, right? So how can we allow that ritual to seep into everything we do, so that anytime we're coming into the dream job, we're coming into it with full, energy? Because I see, I see this, for example, in the yoga world, where teachers like, oh God, I don't want to teach. Like, I don't think I'm in the right, I don't think I'm in the right profession. I don't know if I should do this anymore. And it's like been their dream. They've been compelled to teach yoga. But what they were sort of missing in that formula is, how can they do it in such a way where it's like, they can start to really literally intentionally create rituals of winning, so that every time they're teaching, whether they're teaching or they're practicing in a room by themselves, or if they're with one person, like how can they continue to win? So that's what I want to ask you guys, right? How are you winning now? How are you getting paid? Not just in money, not just in, in joy, in fulfillment, in oh my God, this is a dream that I've always dreamed of, in capability, which is super important. It's like, even if you're teaching to yourself in the mirror, even if you're teaching to one person, it's like, what capability are you developing now? So for me, it's like me doing these lives, I continue to develop this capability of like speaking just, from an hour-long training to like, so from my notes, so that, that's a capability that I'm honing. And it's a capability of like, how can I actually start to speak to people who are listening in a way that we start to connect and engage. And, also for me, I start to fall in love with my own process, because I'm always speaking about what it is that I'm teaching, what it is that I'm doing. So the whole thing becomes like this constant practice of, how am I winning right now? How am I getting paid right now? Because otherwise, if I'm always saying, oh my God, there's only Jamie here, which I'm so happy you're here, right? I'm loving it. I'm loving this, right? Let me know how this is landing for you, Jamie. So write me in the comments, right? Or, I can think, oh God, there's only one person here. I won't try, right? But the thing is, this is what I want to tell you guys. Last week, I think I had like about 6-7 people on my lives, and I know in the numbers world, in the numbers reality, you're like, meh, so who cares, right? And so just yesterday, I sold 2 premium packages. And if you don't know what premium means that taking your expertise, this is what I help my clients do, taking your expertise, the thing, your zone of genius, the thing that you love to do, the thing that you're compelled that you would do, like you would do it for free. You're just like, you're so nerdy and into it, your zone of genius, right? Taking that thing, right, and distilling it down and selling it at a premium price, which means 3K, 5K, 10K, whatever you want and above, right? For an 8 to 12 week package. Imagine that. 8 to 12 weeks, you get paid a 4-figure salary, right? So I sold 2 packages yesterday, right? And so in our program, I sell at a fast action rate at more of a 4-figure, and then if you want to buy it at a regular investment, it's a 5-figure, right? So I sold 2 packages yesterday. So what I'm trying to tell you is the biggest mistake that I see people do, especially when they start doing social media and starting to market their business online, they try to go wide and they don't necessarily see how they're winning in the moment, and forget, especially in this premium space, that one client or the 2 clients or the 6 clients, and even if half of them were your friends, right, can result in a 5-figure day. Okay, so just take that in for a second, especially as a business owner, because cash flow, is what we need, right? It's just the reality. We need cash flow to, move the business, but it's not just cash flow, right? Those 2 clients were clients that I know I'm so aligned with on a soul level, on a mental level, on an energetic level, right? And what happened is, it's like, I could have easily said, oh God, oh my God, I only had 6 people or whatever. And I would have completely missed what I was winning in the moment. And there's so many things. It's not just the money. It's not just, oh, hey, Shayla, right? Welcome, right? So today's topic, what's the one thing that you need to create certainty in your business? That's what we're talking about today, because we know that this entrepreneurial journey is like, oh my God, I'm winning, to, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing, I just should quit. Oh my God, I'm winning. Like, right? And so how do we stabilize that? It's super important, because if we don't learn that, then what's going to happen? And I see it all the time with my beautiful friends, especially in the spiritual community. They give, and then they burn out because they build this resentment. They're like, oh my God, I don't want to wake up and teach, because they're not allowing themselves to receive what it is that they can receive, to receive the joy, to receive the connection, and also to receive getting paid. And so I was just talking about, like, how are you getting paid? It doesn't just mean financially, it also means, how you're getting paid. You want to continue to look at how you're winning every single day, and what the other thing I want to add is, and what is working, right? So it's like my 6 people last week. I hear so many of my other coach friends like, oh my God, I only had 6 people, like, I don't think it's working. And it's like, the 6 people, and yesterday I had sold 2 packages, right, at a 5-figure investment. So, that's one day, even though I was speaking to 6 people, which half of them were my friends. All right. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is, when you start to go, what I call it, go deep, instead of trying to go wide and, oh my God, talk to the millions of people, like, what about Jamie? What about Shayla, who are right here in front of me? How can I literally connect with them, right? And build this experience that, like, ooh, how am I winning here, right? And one of the things that I love to do, and what I teach my clients, is every time you win, even if it's like, guys, I wrote in my journal this morning, like, yeah, guys, oh my gosh, I had a coffee break and I had my own schedule all day long. Like, yes, guys, that thing that I wanted to do yesterday and I've been talking about it, I did it. And we often mistake, and we look at the results, and actually from a spiritual perspective, we actually misread the ROI. And if you don't know what ROI means, it's like the rate of return. We misread it by the numbers. But let me tell you something, just from a spiritual standpoint, okay? From a financial standpoint, I'm telling you, I've had 2 people in my lives, and one of them was my friend in the same week. In the same week, I made $23,000 in that same week. So, one, and why? Because I continue practice, like, how am I winning? And not like, oh my gosh, okay, this number and how many people, blah, blah, blah. I don't go by the numbers, right? I go by, what am I receiving right now, right? And the thing that I wanted to say, which I lost my train of thought, is, what was I saying? We misread the numbers. Oh yes, and so on a spiritual level, what we don't understand is our rate of return is like more than we can even fathom. Mean to say, Jamie can take one thing I say today and talk to her client, that one thing, and then one sentence, and her client, that brings them a breakthrough, right? And then that one client tells their sister or their brother, their mother, and then that creates a breakthrough. And then Shayla can take one thing that, that she interprets, and maybe it's not even something I said, maybe it made her think about something else that she's thinking about, and then all of a sudden she talks to a group of people, and then 5 of those people have a breakthrough. And then that, like, one person just smiles at another person, and it creates a whole other shift. Like, on a spiritual level, we literally have no idea our rate of return, our ability to have this ripple effect in our collective community. Like, no clue. I'll give you an example. I love this story. So I think it was Tony Robbins. He said that he saw this, and it always makes me cry. So maybe I won't cry this today, but maybe I will. But he said that, like, there was a man and he wanted to commit suicide. Okay, so he wrote in his journal, and he testified to this, and he wrote in his journal, and he was about to do it, right? He had the pills in his pocket. He's at a stoplight, and there was a woman, right? And she's at her car, and she just looks at him, and she just smiles and acknowledges him, sees him, right? Sends her vibration, her love, her light. from that moment, he changed his mind. Like, so this is the type of thing, like, we do not even realize as the work that we're doing now. So Jamie, Shayla, let me know what it is you're doing, okay? Because I'm 1,000% certain that that has happened in your vortex, in your community, and you haven't even realized yet. You know, you could have been that woman who smiled at somebody. Like, you don't even realize the effect we have on other people. And so when we start to really see the ROI that we're receiving at every given moment, and literally have a list and even a process, right? Because this is very strategic, guys. This is very strategic. This is how I made 23K after having 2 people in my life. This is how I yesterday sold 2 premium packages, and I had 6 people last week, right? It's because the practice that I have instilled based on my spiritual practice is constantly noticing, like, how am I winning right now? And sometimes the winning can just be like, I don't know, I just feel good. Oh, I just like the feel of this dress. Like, I like, for whatever winning means to you, that's a win. Okay? So one of the things, especially from a spiritual perspective, we want to sometimes get out of the matrix, and out of the metrics, right? Of what it looks like, because what it looks like is often not what it seems, right? What it looks like is not often what it seems. So, and that's a very kind of spiritual kind of practice, but because what I suggest you do is go backwards. So let's say, for example, you have a goal, income goal, because your income goal is really just a reflection of the abundance you have inside, your willingness to receive, right? It's a physical manifestation of the abundance that you're resonating. Okay, so I always teach things from a physical, mental, and energetic perspective, right? So if we have, let's say, a certain goal, so tell me what if you want, tell me, and this is good because it's always good to kind of testify what is it you want, because you're also telling the universe and you're telling people in your vortex, right, who can celebrate with you. This is the thing, when you start to receive and when you start to truthfully give what it is you want without hiding it, without being ashamed of it, without being guilty, like saying, hey, I want to make 100K a month, right? Whatever it is, what's your number? Okay, tell me in the comments. Let yourself be free of what it is. And then what it is, instead of like, oh my God, 6 and 10, 100K, that doesn't match, right? Instead of going by the numbers, start to allow yourself to constantly see how it's actually happening, right? So 23K in a week, it's not the 100K, but it's certainly happening. Do you see that? And so when I show up here, it's like I'll show up with that energy, like this live is making me 100K a month. Do you understand that? So it's like you start to resonate in the winning now. You start to see how it actually is physically manifesting, right? Like, I have a camera, I have this dress, oh my God, like there's all kinds of stuff, happening. I don't know, I have a fancy Buddha and a feather and a crystal, what is that called? Himalaya salt lamp. Like, I mean, how spiritual is that? I'm not saying this makes it spiritual, but you know what I mean? When you see the physical evidence, right? You're like, oh, look at this sage stick, look at that beautiful, like, turkey feather, look at it. Like, when you start to actually see the reality happening now, right? That is your key. That is where you're going to draw your certainty from. To constantly see how it's certainly happening now, and I'm certainly winning, and I'm certainly getting paid in so many ways. So I want to hear from you guys, right? What is one way that you can celebrate right now? Right now, like, tell me, maybe there's something, like, I don't know, you have something in your house that you're like, oh, I love this thing. Like, oh, here, I'll show you this. Like, these beats, very fancy, what do you call them? Wireless beats. I've always wanted these, right? And last year they were like $400. I got them for like $80, which is, hey, that's still very, very valuable. But like just the fact that I have these, I'm like, so freaking fancy, you know what I mean? And it's like just that kind of receiving what is happening now, and then allowing yourself to continue to be certain that yes, the 100K is coming, right? The $1 million is coming, whatever it is, the $10, the $50, I don't know what it is. There has to be some sort of, this is when I talk about manifestation. So when I did that live, the truth about manifestation, you might want to check it out. I talked about there needs to be accuracy. So there has to be some kind of end goal and frequency. But you see, the accuracy is not based on a numeric thing. It's based on frequency. And one thing about frequency is consistency. So how am I consistently, literally showing up? Right? Am I showing up like, oh my God, oh, I hope this is going to get me what I want. I don't know if I should do this. I don't know if they're listening to me. Like, that's a frequency, right? And there's something else about just on a numeric number. There's a consistency. There's a continuum, right? Because living in the now is a continuum. It's a verb. It's a constant creation of your vortex. You're constantly creating it right now. And in a moment, it can shift where it's like right now you can be like, I'm the queen of the world. Just like I said, that roller coaster. And it's like, oh my God, one little thing of data can throw you off. You start to compare yourself to some guru. Like I had somebody, very, very good friend of mine, I love her to death, and she said, she had a little suggestion to me, some marketing strategy, and it was sort of like, I'm not like digging the way you're doing the marketing, right? And totally cool. She has a very kind of extensive background in marketing, so I was receiving it, but at the same time, okay, so here's the other thing about certainty. At the same time, I was also noticing like literally 10 people, same exact message. So my friend was like, yeah, I'm not feeling it. But same message that I sent other people. They're like, dude, oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you for sending me that. So I literally have one of my coach friends. I just, I said, hey, come to the live today. And so she came, and it was all about like, using feminine energy. That was our last week's live. Using feminine energy to create financial abundance in your business, right? So she was like waiting on, one of her clients who she charges $3K for her program. She was waiting on one of her clients to respond back to see if they're going to work together, right? And she was all in this tight, like, oh my God, I hope, yeah, she was sort of like in this doing, what should I do, kind of masculine doing energy. And then we practiced this kind of receiving energy, this allowing energy, this trusting energy, which is actually the whole, that whole win, her whole win that she shared with me. She generously shared with me, again, another way I got paid, right? She generously shared with me, created this whole live, because I'm, okay, I know what to talk about next week. Because what happened was, she started moving out of that, oh my God, I hope, on the numbers, oh my God, I have 2, now I have 3, like out of the metrics, and into the frequency of receiving, into the frequency of trusting, into the frequency like, how am I actually winning now? What I want actually happening? So literally after the live, her client called her and said, yes, how do I pay? How do I pay you $3,000 to work with you? Right? And so she wrote me back, and you might see her testimonial. She wrote me back. She's like, oh my God, girl, like you were right. Okay. It's like, she just called me. Right. And I know it seems unrelated, but the more you practice this, the more you're going to start to see, and the more you actually intentionally practice, how are things that you want actually happening now? Maybe it might not be the full 100K, for example, but hey, there's half of it, right? You know, and so that means if it just, that means that it's happening. It's happening, like, right? So it's that constant, like, how is it happening? And then knowing, you know, to look for the wins, because in your business, what I also want to ask you, what happens when you feel like you're not winning, or you're not winning? Because the thing is, you always are, but if you're constantly watching and observing what it is that is not going well, how you're not winning, how you're not as good as this person. Oh my God, Jamie said she's making this much money. Like, oh God, I can never be there. Like, that's an easy vortex and frequency to spiral down into. But instead, it's like, lean in. It's like, okay, this girl wants 100K a month. Okay, I'm curious, right? What's going on? 23K in 1 week? Okay, let me perk up and get curious. How can I win from this? How can I take this live right now, completely free, and say, what is it that I can implement? What is it that I can receive? The one thing, right, that I can receive today, right, that creates winning, and that winning frequency now. Because that, I will guarantee you, if you stay in your zone of genius and you stay in this place of constantly receiving, you stay in this place of winning, you stay in that ritual, because it's a discipline. Okay, it's not just, it's literally a discipline. You can discipline yourself to be like, fuck, it's not working, I hate this shit, right? You can discipline yourself there, no problem, very easy. Or you can discipline yourself like, ooh, yeah, 4 people are here, right? And they're all like my peoples. They're all people who I know, I vibe with, I connect with, right? We have that we have that potential. We have that possibility. And isn't that exciting, right? Because for me, one of my values is business is human. So we're not just numbers. We're human beings. So especially in the social media world, we want to really get conscious of how we're receiving all of this. Because if we're purely looking at the numbers, we're forgetting that human beings are on the other side. It seems like the other side of this camera, but you know what I mean, on the other side of this camera, somewhere in their life. And we have the potential of creating an ROI for ourselves and for them. So let me know. I want to know how this is landing. Nobody's speaking, so it's nice to say, right? How is this landing for you? What is resonating? Do you have any questions? So I want to know, how are you winning today? Please write it in the comments, because I'm telling you guys, this will shift your whole entire day. If you start from that place of leading from your wins and from that ritual, your whole day can shift, and literally abundance will start to come. So Jamie says, I love it. What do you love about it, Jamie? Tell me how you're winning today, right? Thank you for that. I love you too, okay? Oh, hey, okay, I am. Claudia says, I am. So how are you winning? Tell me, get specific, guys. So remember I said accuracy and frequency. So it can't just be this intellectual, like, I am winning because. It has to be like, I'm winning because, right? So there's this accurate, like, specific thing, like, I'm winning because I'm drinking a organic spinach avocado smoothie, blah, blah, blah. You know, like, something, right? So Claudia says, I'm winning because I'm investing in you. And I want to tell you, Claudia, the you is you. Anytime you make an investment that looks like, okay, right? It looks like you're investing in a program. It looks like you're investing in me. The truth is you're investing in you. You start to see your own value. And you're like, I'm worth this. Yeah? So that's just a one little shift, okay? Because everything that looks like it's from outside is actually happening within. So we want to start to see that I'm actually investing in myself. And that's when you work with people in the premium space, people often come in with that deep prayer, knowing what it is they want, right? And then all of a sudden you come in with your expertise. So this is what I teach my clients, with your expertise distilled in a version where you can give them that experience, the before and after, right? In a matter of 8 to 12 weeks. Imagine that. So imagine, for example, if you are suffering from debilitating chronic pain, right? And somebody says, well, if you work with me for a year, it will happen, right? But what if I said, in 8 weeks, you're going to see massive results? And we can't promise, but in 8 weeks, I will, more like in 8 weeks, one of my clients who had debilitating like back pain, in the 4th week literally shifted that. And actually this is true for one of my clients, and it was something super basic that we were doing. She's like, oh my God, my back is like not hurting anymore, right? And so that's just an example. I'm giving you an example. So what would you rather? Would you rather invest, a premium rate to get the result, in 4 weeks? Or would you rather continue to give little money here and there, and you're like not really sure if it's actually going to work, and you don't know, maybe I should try this person, maybe I should try that person, right? And then a year later, you're still in chronic pain. And that's what we need to understand when we start to work in the premium space, because it's a whole mind shift, right? And I talk about it in why charging more makes it affordable for everyone. So wait, let me just read. Jamie says, needed this reminder to celebrate and win in the moment instead of worrying about the future and what comes next, right? And every time we are in that place of worry, every time we're in that place of like, oh my God, I'm not enough, because that's the human condition, right? This not enough kind of story, we can simply honor her and receive her. So instead of saying, oh my God, oh, you shut up, I'm supposed to do my wins, yeah, like, right? Instead of doing it that way, come from a place of tenderness. Come from a place like, okay, my love, what is it that you need, right? Because she's just part of you, Jamie, that is trying to protect you. She's saying, okay, I'm worried, I'm not sure how we're going to pay our taxes. I don't know what the cash flow is going to be next week. Showing up as my whole person. That's what Shayla, I hope I'm saying your name right, Shayla, right? That's your win, is showing up as my whole person. Like, and isn't that what we all want? Like, just to be yourself? Because I'll tell you another thing, that is the key to making money. That is a key to creating abundance, right? And that is a key to your longevity. Imagine every single day coming and saying and speaking your truth, and then having other people resonate with that truth. And that's the thing that creates money for you, right? That is sustainable. Because all of this, like, oh my gosh, okay, how am I supposed to talk? What am I supposed to say? How many certificates am I supposed to have? Should I sound very professional? Should I have all the facts? Should I have, things backing me up? But what if, again, because again, all of those metrics seem so, ooh, right? Shiny, and oh my God, that they must have their shit under control. But it's like, but what if the reason why you get paid is you show up, as Shayla said, as your whole person. Meaning to say, all your truths, all your pains, all your weaknesses, all your everything, because from a feminine energy, that energy is able to welcome it all, right? So, and what's most important is, can you show up for yourself? So like, if I were here talking to the camera by myself, okay, I would still go. I would still be like, guys, and this and that and blah, blah, blah. Why? Because I'm speaking just from what I'm so nerdy about anyway, right? And then it's just a practice. And then maybe somebody's going to come on afterwards, because that's how these lives work. And then it gets me to practice what I'm preaching, right? And like and continue to kind of like start to fall in love with my own work, not from a egoic place, but that's one thing, guys. It's like this spiritual practice is about falling in love with yourself, because when you do that, and that's what I loved how you were saying, Shayla, showing up as myself, because when you do that, then you teach other people to do that. Imagine a world of people walking around literally from that place of loving who they are, loving who they are. They don't have to convince themselves, they don't have to validate, they don't have to look like anybody, they don't have to dress a certain way. They truly remember who they are, and who they are is love, right? Hey Eileen. So let me see. Eileen says, during all my coaching sessions with Jamie, I have so many aha moments. Just from the question she asked me, it's magic. P.S. Love being passionate and nerdy about gifts I have to share. Thank you, Eileen. Right? And it's like, so like Eileen and I, Eileen is one of my clients, right? Eileen and I, we get on a coaching call, and I'm giving her very strategic, very like, prepared, content, but we're so nerdy about it that it's just fun, right? And I'm there and I'm like, oh my God. And it's almost like, we our coaching calls are 2 hours a week, and hey Allison, right? And our coaching calls are 2 hours a week, and it's like time flies like that, because it's like we're so passionate about what we're talking about. And so then you see, work doesn't feel like work, because we're doing exactly what Shayla said. I'm showing up as my whole person. So Allison, the topic of today is, how do you find the one thing, or what is the one thing that finds certainty in your business? And we were doing this whole training of how are we winning? How are we winning right now, right? Because I was talking about how we get really confused with the metrics, right, of what's going on, and we don't really actually, and the numbers, and we don't actually realize that our frequency and our intention is actually what's going to manifest. So I gave this example before, but like literally yesterday, I'll give an example. Literally last week, I gave this just earlier, literally 3 weeks ago, I had 2 people on my lives, right? And most people are like, oh my God, I quit, this sucks, oh my God, it's not working. Wow. One person was my friend, and one was a potential client. That week, I made $23,000. No, 23K. So 3 zeros, not 2,300. I always get confused. 5 figures, guys. Okay, I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm saying when we continue to practice, because those 2 people in that live, I could be like, oh fuck, this is not working. Okay, let's quit. Let's just screw this, right? But the ritual, right? The ritual of winning, right, is what I continue to practice. And so we want to start to look at, and Alice said, this can be something you can start to integrate too if you haven't already, but like, how are you winning? And not just winning like, oh my God, I'm making so much money. Like, no, how are you winning now? Like, I'm like, I was just talking about like, ooh, look at these mats, because I dreamed 20 years ago, 10 years ago, like I would love to just show up with my mat and teach. And like, lo and behold, like, oh, it's happening. Like, it's happening like right now. Do you see? So this ritual of continually noticing, how am I winning, and how is that goal that I want? Because you kind of have to have some kind of accurate goal. Mine is 100K a month, right? How is that happening now? Right? If one of my other clients were like, I want to own a house. I'm like, so how is that happening now? Like, look at your wood floors, look at your couch, look at all the clothes in your closet. Like, you're owning it, baby. Right? So how can you actually experience that now? Okay, that's what is going to create money, guys. And money is just a symbol of your own ability to receive and your frequency. Okay, it's symbolic. Everything in this world, this physical manifest world, is a symbol of what is happening internally, what's happening in your mind, what's happening in your body, what's happening in your heart, right? And so it's a physical manifestation. And as we know, we are also living in an infinite world. So numbers are just numbers, guys. So it's not like, oh my God, you want 100K, you're so greedy. Like, it's my willingness to receive, and it's also my willingness to give, because I'm here. I'm not getting paid. I am getting paid in so many ways because I'm with you beautiful goddesses, and I'm learning so much, and I'm talking, and I'm just being nerdy and passionate about what I want to stay, right? It's all good. There's so many things that you can have a list, and that's what I suggest. Journal. I'm winning because I'm drinking my green smoothie. I'm winning because I have 2 red yoga mats. I'm winning because I get to wear this dress that looks fancy, but I actually got it for like $12. Right? And it's like, but I feel good in it. You know what I mean? Like Allison, you know, when you said go full bouge, you know, that stayed in my mind. Yeah, it's like, so I feel bouge, right? And it's not the number. It's not the freaking price tag, right? I can feel bougie right now. So Allison had this saying, I feel full bouge, or go full bouge, when they I think her and one of our other friends, they wanted to do something very like bougie fancy. So anyway, that stayed with me, Allison. It made me laugh so much, like go full bouge. And so I kept on thinking about that. Anyway, so you see, ROI, rate of return. The one thing that Allison said to me created this humor in me. And she probably just said it because she's just a funny person, right? And so when I was saying earlier, like our ROI is on a spiritual level unseen, and it's so massive we don't literally know. Everybody right here in this collective right now, in this kind of vortex of 6, we're going to take one little piece and spread it into our vortex and into our collective, and all of a sudden that one little piece might be the breakthrough for somebody else, might be the opening light for somebody else. I want to see what Allison is saying. I win when I feel delightful hackles on the back of my neck during a session. Oh yeah, the goosebumps are like, ooh. And yes, I am working on my willingness to receive. The giving I got. And the cool thing is, and this is what I always say, deep does not have to be complex. So the practice that we're asking for, again, the practice that we're asking for, it's happening now, right? My willingness to receive is a feeling of like right now. I get to sit in this virtual circle with, 5 beautiful goddesses and whoever else gods or goddesses come onto this live later, and I'm able to receive that beautiful, pure, joyful, excited, passionate, nerdy energy, right? So your willingness to receive is now. It's now, right? And this is where you're going to find certainty, right? You are going to find certainty every single time when you invest and allocate your energy in now. And one of the very simple ways, I know we throw this word around, being present, one of the very simple ways is get into the physical reality, right? So one of the very first things I teach in my program is get grounded, because if we're not in the physical body and we're always out there, right, in the drama, right, of things, then it's very hard for us to be creative, especially when we're running a business, and you know that our business runs on creativity, runs on that passion, and it's very hard to receive what it is we're receiving, right? Because we can gun for like, oh my God, I want $1 million and I want 20 clients, and we can keep on going, and we actually do the thing and we get the thing. But by the time we get there, because we're not holding it in that receiving frequency, when we get there, we're like, oh, I got the 100K, it's in my bank. Now what, right? The frequency is not there. The practice, and especially if I practice, oh my God, I have $1, right? Oh, yeah. Like if I practice receiving $1, $10, a candy, whatever, a hug, a funny joke that Allison told me when we were last time in the park with our kids, if I'm willing to receive that, what the heck is going to happen when I actually receive the thing that I've been praying for? You're going to like, your energy is going to be so explosive, right? And one of the things I teach is to continue to hone that energy, so that hone that energy in our what I call our energy core center, right? So that it's not like, it's all this adrenaline rush out there. So I was literally talking to a client yesterday, and she's like, oh my God, Jamie, I'm so excited. This is the first time she has been suffering from some sicknesses. She's like, this is the first time I'm waking up and I literally, like, I'm jumping out of bed. I'm so excited. I haven't had this feeling in a long time. And she's like, right. Okay, first thing we did was, okay, so let's take all that energy, take it in, take it in. Take it in, take that energy in, right? So that for the rest of the call, that lasted about 2 hours, right? When we were talking all nerdy and all this stuff, right? And all these cool kind of synchronicities, right? We hold that energy so that we don't burn out. So the certainty is going to come when you continue to allocate your energy, and here's the word, here is the certainty, in trust. Everything I've talked about today, everything, having your practice of winning rituals, which is a very simple but yet basic concept. That's the thing about all of these concepts, guys. They're not complex. It just takes that discipline to actually, do it. Right? Let the body know this is great. I'm feeling good right now, right? Right? So that certainty, when it boils down to everything I said, I was giving you the process. I was giving you some tools, right? But fundamentally in our program, that's what I fundamentally want to give everyone who comes into my vortex, whether it's through these lives for free or whether you come into a paid program with me. I want to give you back your trust in yourself. Okay, so take a moment now. I want you to imagine, because again, it's always in the now. I want you to imagine I'm giving that to you right now. What does that feel like? Tell me in the comments, what does it feel like if I say, here is your self-trust? Here, take it. You have it, you've always had it, it's yours. Receive it. What does it feel like, guys? I want you to tell me in the comments, what did that just feel like? Because that is where you're going to get certainty. If you continue to develop a ritual where you're going to always come back to who you truly are, always come back to your center, always come back to your heart. I know those are all words that we use, but hopefully by now it's been more of not just words, but an experience and an exchange in this moment, right? Ancient and new is what Allison said, right? Because in fact, it's timeless, right? Because the experience of time is not really happening. Everything's happening at once. So it's like all of that abundance that we're dreaming of is available literally to you now. So can you trust in that unseen but potent feeling? Because it's a feeling, guys. It's not somebody telling you, oh my gosh, you're doing well, I'm validating you, because it's literally, yes, it feels like we're releasing blocks. And I want you to really sink that in right now, because that's a feeling that nobody's going to tell you, yes, Jamie, that's correct. Yes, Jamie, that's not, nobody's going to tell you that other than you. Because one place, and this is a place I always say to go into your body, because your body doesn't lie. Your body doesn't lie. Your mind sometimes will tell the body, it's to this or to that. It's too cold. I don't like the rain. Okay, so there's that. But that intuitive, that yes, that oh my God, that just that whisper, that what I call the whisper of your soul, it just goes, whoosh, and it's up to you to listen